All right, another episode of the Heat Tank with Hamid Yaz here from Austin, Texas, marketing advisor. With a show with no intro, we go right into it. And today we have Meredith Knight. Check out Meredith real quick. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, she's very excited to be here, it seems like. And what Meredith has is a company that she recently launched called Boone's Bay. When I first saw this, I personally thought that, is it like women's fishing clothes? And then I started talking to her more and realized it's more of a lifestyle type of shirt, lifestyle clothing. But we're going to let her give you a history of how it came about, how she got into it, and then we start talking money-making ideas. Meredith, say hello again.
Hi there.
All right, so talk to us. How did everything start? How did it all come about? And what's the next step? What's the next step for you?
Well, this was purely a selfish endeavor in the beginning. My husband is very much an outdoors enthusiast, and by default, I kind of tag along in those activities. And after about 10 years of doing that, he had educated me on why it's important to have the right clothes so you don't get wet and stay wet, so you're comfortable, you don't sweat through everything. So we had been at a friend's ranch after Christmas, and as we always do, cook dinner after we finish up, being outdoors. And she changed into her men's Columbia shirt, which fits her great. She's a little shorter than I am, and I thought, you know what, that's really the appropriate outfit for this kind of activity. She's comfortable, and so I put mine on, and it came about to my stomach, and it looked like I'd forgotten half of my wardrobe. So
panic mode.
But I was like, all right, well, forget that. I'll just, put on a sweatshirt. No big deal. So I'll get in the car. I'll go online and find a women's fishing shirt, surely, right? So we get in the car. We got 2.5 hours in the car, and I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and they don't exist.
Oh, my.
And so I said to Jamie, this cannot possibly be. And that was just kind of the beginning of the last 2 years that I've spent researching and just perfecting this pattern and all the technical aspects to the shirt and kind of getting it ready. And along the way, I had a lot of friends that were like, hey, will you make one of those for me as well? And so it kind of just took on a life of its own.
Yeah. And the first few are always the most expensive, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
They're not cheap when you're doing the prototypes,
We don't look at price per shirt on those. That's just like an investment into the company. Yeah. It's product development. So, yeah.
The, as I would call it, the cost of doing business.
Right.
Same thing if you're working in a grocery store and you're putting out free cookies for the kids.
Yeah.
Hey, you might open up 6 packages of cookies. It's the cost of doing
That's
business.
Exactly right.
Realistically. And I'm assuming, obviously, there's 2 samples here, and the one you have on, is it safe to say that is one of your shirts?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything here so far. And we've got 8 colors.
Okay.
And 6 sizes from extra small to a double XL, trying to accommodate as many body sizes and types as we can. And,
Because the shirt you have on right now does not look like an outdoor style type of shirt. It looks almost like a multi-use shirt. I guess it's safe to say. You can wear it on almost any occasion.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, when I looked online, I was looking for a women's fishing shirt.
Okay.
And in my mind, that's what I needed to create for myself. So we created the pattern, and then it was like, well, maybe it's not just a fishing shirt. Maybe it's an outdoors shirt, for women who like to be outdoors. And then I had a friend of mine try it on who's a photographer and a mom of 3 boys, and she was like, Meredith, oh my goodness, you have created what I've been looking for my entire career. I'm, a freelance photographer on the weekends, and I always struggle with staying cool, being able to move, and looking professional. And I've never been able to do all 3 of those things at one time. And here I've got a shirt that if it's hot, I sweat and it evaporates immediately. And it's long enough that I can wear it with yoga pants and I can move around. And I look professional to my clients. And I was like, okay, so it's a photography shirt too. And then I've got a friend that does a bunch of stand-up paddleboarding, and she was like, I like to come in off the paddleboard and we walk to a restaurant and have something to eat. And before it was like, but I'm just going to put a T-shirt over my swimsuit, and that looked ridiculous. And she said, I throw one of these on, and I look like I actually dressed to go eat after we've been outside all day.
So it has basically become more of a I don't want to say multi-platform, but multi-use shirt.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So our first slogan, our first tagline was designed to be beautiful in the outdoors.
Okay.
We've trashed that. And we've gone to functional, comfortable, beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the website. Some really nice pictures, by the way, and I see multi-uses for it. You've got great people looking like they enjoy it, and I can see the flexibility of the shirt and such. As I'm looking more and more, it's popped up right here on the screen. I mean, I see someone holding a rifle, people having wine, someone with their kid, and it doesn't look like the shirt's being torn and stretched into so many different pieces to be able to accommodate that movement.
That's right.
It looks like it can really handle any movement of the human body with ease.
Absolutely.
What I see just looking at the website alone.
Yeah. Well, and it's even for me, it's developed into something that I never expected. Primarily, realize that, I've got 2 small children at home. I am not outdoors as much as I used to be or as I would like to be. But we do still travel a lot. And so while in my head, even for me, this was an outdoor shirt in the beginning, now it's my go-to travel shirt. I put on a pair of yoga pants. I put on one of these shirts. We spend 2 hours on an airplane. The little one spits up on me. The big one is across my lap asleep. And, I wipe the spit up off. He wakes up. We get off the airplane. And I don't have any wrinkles. And I don't have any stains. I mean, it looks like I'm young and single and traveling out without children.
Hey, Cancun.
Right.
Here we come, Cancun.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Obviously, with marketing is, who is your who? Okay.
Right.
Who are the people you're trying to target? And of course, the initial idea was, well, for women that are going fishing. But it has realistically become a shirt that different women, it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, what religion you are, what activity you're doing, because it's a multi-use shirt, so many different women can now become your who.
That's right.
Okay. So now it's a matter of how do you get it to your who?
Okay.
Okay. And what I tell people all the time is, by figuring out who your who is, now we know it can be a lot of women. You now expand the money that you're able to bring in, okay? As of right now, where can people find you currently as far as like Instagram, Facebook? We'll get into more detail, but where can they find you as of current?
So social media, also not something that I was familiar with prior to this endeavor. But I'm learning about Instagram and Facebook and trying to be active there. We have the website.
Okay.
So online, those are primarily the platforms that I've been using. We're also, we have 2 storefront locations where somebody could, because it's a new brand, I think it's important for people to be able to go and try it on and feel it. I mean, this is something that really, I talked about it to my friends for 2 years while I was developing it. And even after I got my prototypes in, I was like, oh, and they were like, oh yeah, that's pretty. I was like, no, go try it on. And they try it on and it's like, oh, I get it. So I think having some brick and mortar where people can go touch and feel and experience is important as well. So learning the social media stuff, certainly recognize that I am such a novice and have so much, exponentially, that's probably the biggest area that I need to understand and learn.
So one of the and it's funny, we're talking about this right now. I had an actor on this show, okay?
Okay.
And this is something I told him, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I should write it down." And I'm like, "I've been thinking about this for years, but I was just never in that industry."
Okay.
But for everybody watching, and for you as well, this specifically is we'll call it a strategy because you can do it with multiple people.
Okay.
Check this out. When you were talking about brick and mortar, okay?
Right.
We'll just say Cabela's, Academy, and then you can get into other ones that are not specifically outdoorsy.
Right.
Okay. But those might be the initial ones, we'll say, or you can just go gung-ho and maybe go for maybe JCPenney's and such. What I told him was this. Now, we're talking Hollywood, but I'm going to convert it now into obviously talking about retail clothing, women's clothing, because women's clothing is something that a lot of people are like, they really don't want to touch sometimes. Right. Okay.
I got told that a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, I believe it. I believe it. But here's a little trick, okay? Let's say, for example, if we'll just pick a purpose of conversation, we'll say Cabela's, okay? if you know where Cabela's corporate office is, I'm sure it's not hard to find, right?
Right.
You can Google it and you can find where the corporate office is. I'm going to tell you a little trick, okay? When you run Facebook ads, of course, you know, if you haven't started yet, you can obviously watch videos on how to run Facebook ads and make them effective and such. But here's a little trick, okay? You run ads right there in the same zip code of where Cabela's corporate office is. So what happens is, and I was talking to the actor about this in Hollywood.
Right.
He's in Austin, Texas, but he's running little clips of him, like a little reel of himself around the buildings of the Hollywood producers.
Yep.
So what happens is, with you actually saying, okay, this is our brand, and once again, if you have an ad that you're specifically targeting, and with Facebook, just FYI, if you run a Facebook ad, okay, here's a trick that a lot of people don't know. Don't necessarily hit boost post. Okay. Go to Ad Center.
Okay.
When you run it through Ad Center, which is kind of like the back end of it or whatever, you have very many more options. I had a client that has a cell phone repair business.
Okay.
On Ad Center, you can go down to specifically target certain iPhones. iPhone 6, iPhone 7.
Right.
So in your situation, whether it's, I don't know if Lane Bryant, I'm not, obviously don't buy for women's clothes, but Lane Bryant or whatever, J.C. Penney's or Cabela's, whoever it is, you could possibly even find the employees of that specific, obviously they have to be a big name brand.
Right.
Employees of them, or you look at their interests.
Okay.
Women's clothing, and then you go around the JCPenney corporate offices or whoever it is.
Right.
And that's how you start popping up on the feeds of the employees. Because more than likely, the person that does the purchasing for those specific, regardless of who the company is, they work in the corporate office.
Right.
So when they're there 8 hours a day.
Right.
And at least 8 hours a day, and more than likely they have their phone with them.
Right.
So more than likely your ad is now going to be popping up right in front of the people that can make the decision to get you into their brick and mortar.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, this can be used if you're an actor in Austin trying to get the attention of someone in Hollywood.
Right.
Or maybe in New York, NBC, they're a major employer. Get the attention of the NBC corporate offices. But is that something that maybe makes sense to you? Or
yeah, no, getting to the decision maker.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see, when I had a dessert business, my thing was it's easy to talk to anybody in the building.
Right.
But maybe the guy making $10 an hour is not the guy you want to talk to because they don't make the decisions.
Right.
And you spend 2 days chasing him around when it's like, I can talk to my boss, or the boss doesn't come in until whenever.
Right.
But as of right now, what is maybe a method or a strategy that you might be working on, or something you might be thinking might be of value marketing-wise?
It goes back to getting the shirt on women who can really just talk about, give their testimony about their experience with it. And
social proof, we call it.
Yeah.
Social proof.
And it's not just a girl with a fishing rod or a girl, in a dove field. It's a mom with 3 kids in Austin, Texas, where it's 110 degrees, and she just doesn't want to look like she rolled out of bed to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Every mom wants to look like we just try a little bit,
Mama still got it. Mama still got it. Yeah.
That's right. So my strategy right now is just trying to find the right women. And like you said, not just looking for somebody who's got 40,000 followers. I mean, because
a lot of people fake the funk, as I call it.
Right.
They can,
So I can, in the conversations that I've had so far, it's obvious the women who are like, oh my goodness, this could change my life. Like, this could make my life so much easier, and I get it. Versus the ones who, young, single, I've got 2.5 hours to get dressed every day.
Yeah.
And, I want to change clothes 4 times a day. Yep. And, I'm really not out. I don't sweat that much unless I'm at the gym. Well, okay, then this is probably not going to make a huge difference in your life. It's not your deal. So finding the women who this really can just make their lives easier, make them feel better.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing is, with women are more emotional beings, in my experience. And even by telling them something one time could totally change their week.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to get into relationships and so on, but
Right.
but even when a woman might put on a certain type of dress or clothing, they start realizing, hey, this really made me feel like I was 22 again.
Right.
Or made me feel beautiful again, or made me feel important. Just by men go through it too when we put on a suit. We put on a suit and we feel like we can take over the world and we're the
Right.
next deal maker of the century.
Right.
But one of the things that you said earlier, really caught my attention because I realized it's something that's very prominent in marketing, okay? Marketing, put it like this. When you're selling somebody something, okay, you're selling them the solution to a problem, okay?
Right.
And if whether it's a woman that can't move around in a regular T-shirt or whatever it is, we have right here in front of us solutions to many problems that active women go through. Even a woman that has 4 kids, she's technically an active woman.
Right.
She's chasing around 4 kids.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. She's an active woman. I mean,
Right.
she's dealing with poo-poo. She's
Right.
dealing with bottles. She's
Right.
dealing with whatever it is.
Right.
She's a very active woman. So by presenting a solution, okay, and here's a little marketing tidbit, just FYI. When you're pitching something to somebody, and this goes to negotiating,
Okay.
but it also goes down to actually pitching to people, okay? It's called STAR, Story, Solution,
Okay.
okay? Let's say, for example, if I want to say, let's say, and we'll get into events and such here in a sec,
Okay.
but let's say, for example, if I'm you,
Okay.
okay? Somebody comes to my Boone's Bay booth.
Right.
It could be a farmer's market, it could be wherever, right?
Right.
A woman comes up, okay? And just FYI, for everybody listening, there's a 4-step sales process. As this goes for any industry. First, you got to get someone's attention. You got to get their interest. Then the desire comes, and then the action comes. Depending on where you are in the conversation with somebody, you might have got their attention. They were sitting at home in their underwear, and they saw that you were going to be at a certain farmer's market. So you already got their attention. You got their interest. Then they showed up, okay? They showed up to your table.
Right.
They now desired your product. So now it's in that in-between desire and action where there's a decision being made of whether they're going to take the action and buy it.
Sure.
So what I'm getting at is now the STAR Story Solution is you have them right in front of you, okay? Let them talk.
Right.
What do you do on a daily basis, ma'am? I have 4 kids. I'm a contractor. I'm a supervisor for a contractor, whatever. Okay, cool. Let them talk, let them talk, let them talk. Then guess who just became the star? Because this is all, when I say a setup, I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm talking
Right.
about you're setting up the conversation because really you're going to start negotiating. She now became the star, okay? Let's say her name was Sally. Sally just became the star of what y'all are about to talk about,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Now you have to tell her a story, and the story is this. Everything she told you, because once again, the best salespeople actually talk less. They listen. They listen and they listen and they listen and listen to all the little variables or the excuses or the whatever it is. They get that information. You basically tell her everything she told you because you want her to nod her head. You want her to say, yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. But keep in mind, you're telling her everything she just told you.
Right.
But it meant you listened. Okay. So by you being able to, on a case per case basis, tweak that, turn it around, put it back on her, you now present to her the solution to what her problem was.
Sure.
And she might have not realized something because the thing is, imagine having a regular job. Nothing is an issue until something bad happens, right? When somebody gets hurt with, I don't know, a pallet jack, oh, okay, we need to reassess the pallet jacks and the safety
Right.
because somebody finally got hurt.
Right.
But when you can present to her why she needs one of these shirts and you can get her in her head to agree, that's when you're going to seal the deal. It's simple.
Sure.
But a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Right.
They don't know how to sell because they talk too much. Currently, like as of, right now, I know y'all are out with people one-on-one and
Right.
and what kind of market research currently have y'all been dealing with as far as just getting people to give their input on on the style or the cut or the design so far?
A lot of friends.
Okay.
So I'm going to say I spent.
Are they brutally honest though?
A lot of them are, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I'll say I spent 10 years doing market research, right? That's
Okay.
how I got to the point where I was like, okay, I know what I need. I know what I want to make.
Yeah.
I know what the problems are. I
Yep.
know what needs are not being fulfilled for women who are doing the things that I like to do.
Okay.
And then the market research was, or I'll say the refining of the product.
Yes.
As I mentioned, it's been 2 years that we've been working on the pattern. We started up in New York with the first company that I found that would design and make a pattern for me.
Okay.
And then fortunately was able to bring that design work here to Austin. And so I'm working with a factory here in town
That's good.
on the design work. And the women that you see in the pictures on my website, they have come in to the design studio here in Austin.
Yeah.
And all of them tried on the shirt and given their feedback. And, we didn't start out with this pleat in the back, but one of my friends was like, man, it just kind of sits straight. It would be so nice if it had a little bit of expansion room around the hips.
Oh, yeah. I'm noticing that right now, yeah.
So we put in, as I learned, it's called a reverse box pleat. And so we put this in so that, if you don't need the room, it still sits kind of flat. But if you do, you've got an extra about 3 inches through the hips that the shirt will spread out.
So if you have wider hips, the shirt could still accommodate you.
Absolutely.
Realistically.
Well, and here's another personal testimony. So the shirt that I was designing, because I was the model. I went in and let's try this and move this and change that. And the shirt the pattern that we had designed here in Austin, so we started, it spanned 2 years. In the course of that 2 years, towards the end, I had my third son.
Okay.
Turns out after the third baby, my body bounced back just fine after the first two. And after the third one, it was like,
How do they say, bounce back game strong?
Yeah, right. And after the third one, my body was like, clearly, you're just going to continue abusing me, so I'm not even going to try anymore. So, none of my pants fit after my third baby, but I put this shirt on. Fits great.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, me, because I'm not in the design business or the clothing business, I wouldn't even know, me personally, I wouldn't notice that. But if a woman is wearing or buying clothes, they know exactly how their body fluctuates.
Right.
And it could be because of kids. It could be because they eat. I mean, I know women that could lose 10 pounds every week.
Right.
And just bounce back and forth, back and forth. So that is a very functional shirt to solve a problem like that on a woman.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool, yeah.
And, you can... our medium fits a wider range of women. Our large fits a wider range of women. Somebody that would not have been able to or would not have been comfortable in just a more A-line straight shirt because of this flexibility.
That's cool.
It looks just as good on a slightly wider hips than it does on, a more narrow hip, even if the rest of them's the same size.
There you go. Y'all are seeing it right here. Y'all are seeing it right in front of you, how cool that shirt is, depending on, whether you're slim and trim or you got some curves, it does not matter.
Yeah.
It is the shirt for you. Now, one of the things that I tell people, I had some producers in here, and they were talking about how they can sell more music. And one was a DJ, and I think they had some artists that they kind of manage.
Okay.
And I told them, I said, one of the things about nowadays, or really any day, but now it's a lot more easier, is you have to be known.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't matter if it's LinkedIn, it doesn't matter Facebook, Instagram. Money follows attention. Okay. And what did I tell you earlier? Was the very first step in the sales process? Attention.
Right.
You have to get people's attention. And also, when your influence goes up, so does your value. In this situation, when your influence in the women's clothing, sector or
Sure.
Industry goes up, so does your value as a brand. What I've always done is, and I love to say this word, some people might look at it different, but it's shamelessly putting yourself on. You have to make yourself the voice of that specific industry or that category. Of course, women's clothing is a category. We know that. But then there's subcategories. And then you can start dominating the subcategory. By the way, there's a book, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. you might really love that book.
Okay.
It's all about starting like this and then expanding and going big. And he talks about how they did it with PayPal and so on, and Facebook and so on.
Right.
But 0 to 1 is a very good book. But one of the things that I saw with this is to get local events going. Now, of course, you have like farmers markets you can go to and little pop-up shops and this and that. But my thing would be to organize an event sponsored by you guys. Putting on events, it's hard, okay? But if you want to do like a mini, I don't want to say a farmer's market, but like a, what do they call those where multiple people go and they sell, like a bazaar type of.
Yeah, right.
You could do it with something that doesn't conflict
Sure.
with what you guys have, but this is a way that you do it though. You get say there's a $25 vendor fee. Everybody $25 or $50. He sells or leather goods. They sell handbags, they sell jewelry, whatever it is. So what happens is you now have $25, $50, $75, and then multiply that by 10. You now have hundreds of dollars of budget that you can pump out that event that has your logo, okay? The first annual Boone's Bay, whatever.
Right.
So what happens is people are going to see that on their feeds, and keep in mind, not just the paid advertisement that somebody else paid for, but also the organic reach because of the flyer or the video that those actual brands, the local brands, are going to pump out through their pages as well. So your reach really expands more than you thought, but who's the one hosting the event? You guys.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're 1 day in business or you're 5 years in business. I talked about this to producers, and I told them, I said, you put up, whether it's a beat battle or a rap contest or whatever, it does not matter.
Right.
You guys have to be the ones on the flyer or the video that it's your event, because now people, hey, what about them? Who are they? Who are they? And that's when they start looking you up. So you really have to dominate the media and saying, we are the one on the media.
Right.
Now, you could bring other people with you.
Right.
Like I said, the guy that or girl that sells bracelets and such.
Right.
But you have to say, we got to be at the top of it. We don't want to just be another vendor in the pile of 30. We want to be the one putting on the show, putting on the event.
Sure.
I mean, is that something that might, think it might work? Or?
Absolutely. No, that's, and what's running through my mind, sort of going back to the obvious use of this shirt.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, there are lots of fishing tournaments that are fundraisers for women's charities or you know, children's organizations or something along those lines. But certainly, yeah, those sorts of activities or events.
Yeah.
Are a great idea.
And locally, do you? Let me ask you this: do you have your eyes on a few local brick and mortar type of locations?
I do.
Okay. Have you approached them yet, or not?
Yes. So there's one that so Sportsman's Finest in Bee Cave is one of our biggest supporters and is anxious to get the displays up and the inventory in the store. So that's something we're working on right now.
That's cool.
But, not, Sportsman's falls back to the category of where you traditionally think you're going to see somebody wearing these shirts. But there are other boutiques, and, this style of shirt lends itself really well to embroidery.
Okay.
So, in my mind, lots of girls go down to Port Aransas for their bachelorette parties. Okay. And this is something that would be perfect to, embroidery misses across the
there's
back.
plenty of room. There's plenty of room.
And then, maybe the bride gets the white one, and then, whatever her colors are, whether they're pink or green or blue, her bridesmaids are all in a shirt, and, and you do, names or bridesmaid or something like that across the back. But so some of those monogramming shops, someplace gift shops, the more personalized gift-giving boutiques is certainly on my radar to search out.
True. I had a lady I spoke with maybe about a month, maybe 2 months ago. I think it was called Splashpad. I think it's splashpad.com. I can't remember.
Okay.
But it was something along the lines of Splashpad.
Okay.
But basically, you as a mother, imagine if you're cleaning your baby at the sink. Okay.
Right.
or a man that is shaving,
Right.
obviously what happens? Water gets all around the sink, okay?
Right.
So this is the conversation that me and her had, and this might even help you. You know,
Sure.
just think about the concept, but tailor it
Okay.
to where it could fit you to obviously to not just get into places, but I'm
Sure.
gonna tell you here in a sec what I mean.
Okay.
So basically, she came out with this thing, and it was really cool. I'm a man that shaves. Obviously, I'm bald, as you can tell. So I got to shave my head. But what happens? Water runs down, gets on the sink.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's kind of like it's a washable kind of material
Okay.
that's Velcro that goes
Okay.
around.
Okay.
Okay, easy to wash, really cool. So she had said she wanted to get into local spots. So, okay, well, what's your plan? She didn't really have no plan.
Right.
So, to those listening, and of course for Meredith, nowadays, Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff is your online resume. Okay? You can have a website for anybody. I don't care what you have. You can have a website, but your website is basically static information unless you're constantly updating it, okay? If people are looking up, and nowadays there's so much noise, people are going to trust a brand before they trust a product.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many new products, there's so many new everything every day coming to the market, a new ad on Facebook, new ad on Instagram.
Right.
So people are going to trust a brand before they trust anything else. When me and her were having this conversation, and keep in mind, this is exactly what I did with desserts, okay?
Right.
If I wanted to get into bread basket, and I had brownies and brick bites and pecan pies and whatever, it's a lot easier for me to get into a local convenience store than it is to get into 7-Eleven.
Right.
Realistically,
Right.
this is what I personally did, okay? And I'm going to tell you how it could hopefully help you as well.
Okay.
I would go to the convenience store guy, the owner, I'm sorry, or the manager, which could make the decision.
Right.
We talked about that
Right.
earlier. And I would tell him, I'm going to give you 12 or 24 for free.
Right.
Okay? Don't pay me. Now, of course, when you're dealing with higher price points like these,
Sure.
you might not want to give away 24 for free.
Right.
But this is, I'm going to tell you how you get around that. When you're only dealing with like $2 and $3 pecan pies,
Right.
you're not really losing a lot of money, maybe $15 cost. Okay?
Right.
What I told her with Splash Pad was this. You go to Grit and Grace Boutique or whatever it could be, okay? And you tell them, and by the way, I have a friend who owns a clothing store out there by where you guys are at, so maybe I need to link y'all up, actually.
Please, yes.
I need to do that. I actually emailed her last night, speaking of.
Perfect.
Okay, so here's the thing. Nowadays, because your online resume is Facebook and it is Instagram,
Sure.
okay? This is what I personally recommend, okay?
Okay.
Your Instagram or Facebook cannot just be a bunch of pictures of the shirt. It's
Right.
like looking at the Instagram of a restaurant and all they have is a picture of the steak for the past 30 photos. I want to see people enjoying. I want to see interaction. I want to see social proof that you're moving and grooving and doing business, okay?
Right.
So the way I personally would approach it is, let's just say, because there's one by my house, Grit and Grace Boutique, okay?
Okay.
Let's just say them. If I personally were to approach them, I'll say, hey, look, this is what I have, boom, 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 show them the website, the social media, whatever. I would like to give you, X amount, whatever you can
Sure.
afford for free. But this is what I want to do also. I want to come and do an event at your store. I want to do a pop-up outside. So because these are higher price point items, we don't need to get into cost and such.
Sure.
But you could give them, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 to start for free, just to get in the door. But on the condition that they let you do an event.
Right.
And what I mean by that event is an event that it might be 25 or $50 within the area, within that zip code, that you market it with the Facebook ad, Instagram ad, whatever it could be, that they'll be available for sale, and you maybe could have cookies and free giveaways, lemonade. So you set up a table. And I learned this the hard way by having a dessert trailer and doing events as well.
Right.
The best way to get feedback from real customers or potential customers is to be there in front of them and actually hear what they got to say.
Right.
They might say your colors suck.
Right.
They might say they want tie-dye.
Right.
They might say it's not dark enough because their soul is black.
Right.
Whatever, I'm serious. Whatever it could be, but you don't know that until you actually have customers in front of you.
Sure.
So you take maybe like 20 or 30 multiple extras.
Sure.
But if they start selling in the store will buy the ones that you have, quote unquote, on hand. Okay. So as you're wheeling and dealing, because now you have customers going in there, it's not just about making the sales and building the relationship with that store. It's about having photo and video that you need as content.
Right.
Because if you can get, even if it's a 15-second or 30-second video of a 45-year-old woman and her mother that's in her 70s, and the woman picks it up and puts it on her mother to try on whatever, you can turn that into an Instagram post.
Right.
It's little things like that a lot of entrepreneurs don't see. And I'm not saying you don't see, but
Sure.
many people don't see how you got to get your content and chop it and dice it into 20 different, it's like a fish.
Right.
When you go fishing, I'm assuming y'all do the same thing.
Use every piece.
You use every piece,
Right.
but also you can now have content that you've created and you have on hand for 2 months down the line or 2 weeks down the line. Those are the type of things. And she was like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, well, I did it with brownies.
Right.
You can do it with your splash pad. It can be done with shirts.
Sure.
I mean, they used to do this with like music CDs back in the day when they were selling music CDs here locally.
Right.
Just an idea, but I know that it works because you need social proof that you guys are moving and grooving and customers are actually looking and enjoying and feeling.
Right.
And just little things like that, just
Sure.
little things. But yeah, it's so many different things can be done with you guys as far as the marketing and branding. But and here's another thing, by the way, because we didn't talk about it yet.
Okay.
Your main goal, okay, and this is what a lot of people, when I ask them, what's your goal of marketing? They say, to make money. I'm like, we're all trying to make money, trust me.
Right.
Trust me, we're all trying to make money. But your ultimate goal is to magnetize yourself to where people come to you. Because when people come to you, they don't care if it's a $99 shirt or if it's a $29.99 shirt. They're coming to you because they know what they want. When I had a dessert trailer, I would run an ad of a piece of cheesecake. I wouldn't even put the price. They would drive literally from across town and say, I saw this on Facebook or my cousin reposted or whatever it is. I want this. And they would hold up the Facebook picture. They don't even ask the price. No, I'm serious.
Right.
This is what I want. So by magnetizing yourself, whether you're a personal brand or you guys having a business brand, of women's clothing, that's when you know that people are actually loyal to the brand because you are the branding, goal, the first one that they think of. But do you have any ideas in general that maybe you were kind of thinking that maybe you could do and we could kind of deep dive into that or? A ton of ideas. I
just feel like, the universe is, I've got to learn, like I said, this is not my background. I mentioned to you before, I don't know anything about marketing or I barely shop myself, so I had a friend a year ago that had to teach me how to shop on Instagram. So this is all just great information and really just enlightening me as to things that I need to learn more about.
Let me tell you, we can start talking a few little tactics here and there. And to me, they might be like, oh, yeah, but to some people, it can change their life.
Right.
And they start making more money.
Sure.
Let me tell you how I got into a call center. Check this out, okay?
Okay.
Once again, when I'm telling you this, twist it and turn it to where it applies to you.
Sure.
There was a certain call center that I wanted to get into because one thing that I learned is about compressing the time that it takes to make money. When I would do an event with selling desserts, I would go to a call center, be there for an hour, hour and a half, and leave with $200 to $400. Literally selling churros and cookies and brownies and cheesecake, okay? Here's how I got into one of the call centers. And keep in mind, once I made that or had the relationship with the call center, I was going in every 6 weeks. I call it money on tap. Literally hit up the admin, send her to, hey, how are we looking for September 15th? Oh, that's great. Come by. What time? 11? Yeah, cool. Right. 11 to 1. But this is how I got in, okay? But once again, apply this to maybe places that you want to get to or certain customers.
Sure.
So if you go to Instagram, well, you can do the same thing with Facebook. Let's just talk Instagram right now.
Okay.
You go to Instagram, you look up, let's say where one of your customers might shop, whatever store it is. I don't know. We'll just say.
Okay.
One that you have in mind. Okay. And you go to the location on Instagram, see who was at that location, see who posted a photo at that location. Okay. I did that with the employees. I became friends with the employee, or one of the employees, I'm sorry, on Instagram, which got me to the decision maker, which was the admin. Once I used the mole to get me into the building without actually being in the building, I made thousands and thousands of dollars off of one call center alone just by doing this. But you find a location that, let's say, retail location, see who shops there. Follow them, talk to them, conversate with them, leave them a little comment. And by the way, for all the people that are on Instagram or Facebook that do all of this fake follower, fake likes, fake commenting.
Right.
Have you ever seen a comment on your Instagram? Maybe you put a hashtag.
Right.
And then it's like, great post, looks awesome. And you're like, who are you?
Right.
It's kind of tacky because we know it's fake. But if you start conversating with people, and I tell people, instead of watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians or watching Real Housewives or whatever, that's your go time.
Sure.
That's the time to get on social media, start interacting with potential people, because you never know who's who and who's connected to who. And nowadays, of course, with LinkedIn, you can see who's who on LinkedIn, and more than likely they have a Facebook and they have an Instagram account. So you kind of start like socially stalking, we'll call it. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, right.
You do that, and you can get to the person that can make a decision for you, or that is fishing, for example.
Right.
Or it could be whatever it is. And that's how you can easily start engaging in conversations with people to either make sales or to start building your actual following. But, I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about. But with this episode, we're so short on time that we've got like 10 hours worth of content that we can talk about. But is there anything else in particular, maybe something you might need help with, or just questions regarding marketing or branding?
One thing that I'm realizing as I look at doing these events is I think that I'm a modest person. I find it hard to go out there and sell. I was in sales a decade ago, and I realized that I really don't like sales.
Yeah.
So I'm finding it hard to balance. Like you said, you got to get out there. You've got to be your own advocate. Because nobody else knows about this brand. I'm the only one, and if I don't tell people, they're not going to know about it. So, it's crossed my mind to look for somebody who is in you call it the PR arena.
Okay.
Designing a booth. Like, I don't want to just go set up a couple of mannequins and my logo.
Yeah.
Like, what content does a booth need to have when I go do these events?
Yep. Attention getting is the first thing. And believe it or not, like you see car dealerships that they have balloons, and they got the little guy that's been around the block, and he looks all beat up and dirty.
Right.
But believe it or not, little stuff like that catches people's attention.
Okay.
And it might sound like, well, I don't want to go to H-E-B and get 20 balloons, but yeah, those 20 balloons or 10 balloons that only cost like 89 cents each, they're going to attract attention. You might even have some music playing. We used to do that at the food trailer.
Right.
Have music playing depending on the day, or depending on the mood. If it was hot, if it was gloomy, whatever it was, you got to attract attention, because if you are at a farmer's market, we'll just say, or at a bazaar, an outdoor kind of vendor's bazaar, everyone's going to look exactly the same, to be honest with you. I'm sure you've gone to plenty of farmers markets and realized,
which carton of eggs do I buy?
Do I want the goose egg, or do I want the stork egg, or whatever it is?
Right.
But for the most part, you can tell really quick how many people have an actual brand. It's based on how fancy their booth is.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that you have to have, Caesar's Palace going on your 10 by 10 tent.
Right.
But at least balloons, professional banners. By the way, there's a company. Have y'all got banners yet? Or
no, we don't.
Okay. If you look on Google, it's called, I think, stickerbanners.net.
Okay.
Or stickersbanners.net. They're based out, they have multiple locations, but in Dallas, okay, it's a regular banner, like, good example, the one right behind you.
Okay.
They're $1.50 a square foot, okay?
Okay.
If you order by, I think it's either 1 or 3 o'clock that same day, you literally get it the next day, and shipping is free. It sounds crazy, right? A lot of people don't believe me.
What kind of scam are they running?
No. I've been using them for over 2.5 years.
Wow.
$1.50 a square foot for a standard vinyl banner.
Okay.
They're based in Dallas, but once again, if you submit the order by, it's either, I think it was 3 before, now it's 1 p.m., I believe.
Okay.
You will literally get it as long as you live in Austin. Now, if you live in Laredo, it might be different.
Right, right.
But Austin, you literally get it the next day.
Okay.
No lie. I was like, what? And I tried it, a long time ago, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually legit.
Wow.
The banners you see here came from there.
Okay.
$1.50 a square foot.
Wow.
Not bad at all, right?
Not at all.
But it's things like that you really have to spice up
Sure.
your booth. You might have it just really depends, and you could have pictures of people actually wearing your clothes, so you don't just have what do you call these again? The
Mannequins, yeah. That's what I call them. I don't know if that's what they're called.
Or
fake people wearing my clothes.
The fake people, yeah. But you can have pictures, and you can do somewhat of a collage, like here.
Right.
You can, because a 10 by 10 tent, assuming that if you use a tent typically,
right.
You can have them stretched across the back.
Sure.
And you can have multiple photos, like the beautiful photos on your website.
Right.
You can have those stretched across on a banner on your tent, and it'll really change the vibe, and you look so much more professional.
Okay.
Because, we know with farmers markets, people just throw the kitchen tablecloth on the 6-foot conference table they got from Walmart.
Right.
And then it's all empty.
Right.
In the back.
Right.
Don't have it look empty.
Not empty. Okay. Noted.
Don't have it look empty. And there's plenty of farmers markets. There's one, I think they do Lakeline Mall, Barn Creek Mall.
Right.
But you have to be careful because some of them want to put you on a contract. Did you know that or not?
I had no idea.
Welcome to entrepreneurship.
All right, let's jump into farmers markets.
Okay, yeah. Well, these will actually sell in farmers markets.
Right, right.
But here's the thing, though. Some of these big farmers markets, they will put you on a 52-week contract, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think they say you have to show up like 48 of the weekends.
Right.
And if you don't show up, guess what? They charge you.
Oh,
No.
really?
They charge you.
Oh.
Because the way they look at it is like, by contract, you're supposed to be here and you didn't show up.
Right.
And they charge you.
Because they don't want empty spots either.
Yeah.
Right.
So people don't want to pay, so what do? They show up. Mm-hmm. I mean, but they give you like a couple of weeks for like holiday or whatever.
Sure.
But for the most part, they look at it like your spot is for you and you have to be there.
Wow.
So just keep that in mind when you see a farmer's market that pulls out a contract, read the fine lines that it's not a long-term contract.
Sure. Right.
Because then that might be a deal breaker for you, which was for me.
Sure.
And I learned by saying, wait a second. I don't want to be here for 48 weeks.
Right. I have other places I need to be some weekends. Yeah.
I have a trailer to go make money. I could be outside of a barber shop.
Right.
And just little things like that. Also doing partnerships with people. Mm-hmm. There were some cookies I had the other day for my birthday. Haley's.
Okay.
Have you heard of them? I think
haven't.
it's Haley's Cookies or Haley's Cakes.
Okay.
High Brew Coffee here in Austin.
Love High Brew.
Yeah, they do a lot of partnerships with a lot of local brands.
Yep.
And it could be something to where you'll say, hey, High Brew, we'd love to give you 2 of our shirts to do a giveaway.
Right.
Now, of course, the shirt, whatever it is, costs for you, doesn't matter.
Right.
They have thousands of followers on their page.
Sure.
And they're local.
Yeah.
So those are the type of things that I would highly recommend. Build partnerships with local brands, and they start doing the marketing for you.
Right.
Because if people say High Brew recommends them, then they must be good.
Right.
Or they must be legit.
Right.
Or they start following your page just based off of High Brew, giving you all the attention in someone else's eyes. Mm-hmm. It's little things like that a lot of people overlook.
Right.
Because nowadays you could do it. Back when it was only radio and television, you had to work out a deal to be on the commercial with them. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, an Instagram post is the commercial.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, unless you got something else you want to go specifically into, I mean, I'm really hoping that this helped and you're able to get maybe a little bit more clarity on so many more methods to actually sell. Another thing real quick, my friend Safina with Lure by YNF, she has a lot of local influencers. Mm-hmm. And of course, once again, make sure that they're not a bunch of fake and phony followers and see what the engagement is.
Okay. Now, can you outline for me specifically what you mean by see what the engagement is? What are we, okay, X number of followers, and then you're just looking at their post to see how many comments and if the comments are quality or
well, not
what
just
are we looking at?
Not just that, but do they even respond to people? Let me tell you what I've noticed a lot on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
people will put up a post and think they're Queen Elizabeth.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is they don't even respond to the people. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have 20,000 followers and you got 900 comments, it's going to be hard to follow up or to conversate with every single person,
Okay.
or to give a thank you or whatever it is. But if you're a local female and you're a model or you're pop-in, whatever it is, and you only have 3 comments and you don't respond to those 3 comments,
Okay.
I look at it like, come on, if there's a brand that's going to pay you to post their stuff and someone says, oh my gosh, that's a great skirt on you, and at the minimum, you don't say a thank you or, oh yeah, it's available at, or I got it from, when you have such a minimal amount of comments,
Right.
I wouldn't do business with that person.
Okay.
Because you need people that engage with their people because it shows that they actually care.
Okay.
Okay. That's a huge one. And keep in mind, when you start engaging with people online, even on Facebook, it's a lot better because on Facebook, a lot of times you can see what your friends are commenting on and you can see what they're liking and you can see the conversations.
Right.
So they jump in also. On Instagram, the only way you can really see what other people are commenting on is if you go to the following page, and it's a different process on Instagram than it is on Facebook.
Sure.
But I highly recommend it. And just a little tip for local influencers. There's no real set price as far as how much they are, okay? How much they go for.
Okay.
One thing about Instagram, and well, we'll say male and female, because I've seen guys do this too. They think they're Hollywood celebrities. They really think that they're 4,000 followers and they're like popping or whatever.
Right.
It's like, okay, you got 4,000 people. You probably only know 39 of them.
Right.
Let's be honest. But here's the thing, though. They might try to overprice themselves and say, oh, I'm $500 a post. And you're like, well, wait a second. You have 4,000 followers. Your posts only get 38 likes.
Right.
Of you. So how many likes am I going to get if you're wearing my clothes?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the type of things you have to look towards, but also you can exchange clothing. Because if they really like your clothes, okay, and they really want to be a brand ambassador online for your clothes, they will do an exchange and say, give me 3 shirts and whatever amount of money. But yes, as of right now, there's no local standard. Once you start getting into like Fashion Nova and things like that,
Right.
that's when it can get a little trickier. My sister manages a model out of Oklahoma. Okay, I won't go into details with her, but she's dating a very well-known NFL player. I saw the Fashion Nova contract, but that was the first one. Now the contract is totally different.
Right.
Because now she's got over 1 million followers on her page.
Wow.
Yeah, but keep this in mind though. Here's another thing you might want to look out for. Those 1 million followers are mainly men.
Okay.
Okay? Because she might have 1 million followers, but they're men drooling over her pictures.
Right.
So it's kind of like with something like this, who's going to buy it?
Right.
Is it going to be men or is it going to be women?
Right.
So that's another thing you really have to look at, where they might have 5,000 followers and they're based out of Austin.
Right.
But is it like a girl just showing off her butt?
Right.
Or is it somebody that really is very influential, like let's say a Kendra Scott?
Right.
Or I don't know, it could be somebody from the news.
Sure.
What are her names? Amanda Dugan or Rosie Newberry.
Right.
Or whoever it could be. Someone like them I would approach.
Okay.
Also, while we're talking about it, just real quick, we welcome to the long extended session.
Right.
But one thing, and I put up this post not too long ago, once you get some publicity, advertise it.
Okay.
So just FYI, okay, because now it just popped into my mind.
Okay.
Imagine if you get on Studio 512.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the program. Okay. Even if it's a 2-minute clip or even if it's a 90-second clip
Sure.
of them showing off your shirts, and you might pay them, I don't know, $300, $400, $500, whatever it is, to get on the show. But that clip, okay, I remember when this happened with Amanda Tatum, when I was on Studio 512, back when Amanda was hosting it, okay? That one little clip is publicity. You get that and you run it as an ad. Okay, because now that you have very credible social proof that, wow, you made it to Studio 512
Sure.
or whatever other Austin Nights or whatever these shows are, that helps your brand get more credibility behind its name, and you run it as an ad. It'll really, really help you.
Okay.
And then, of course, you can get into interest and you can pick radio, television. So what happens is when you run an ad of you on I think it's KXAN, right?
Okay.
On KXAN, you run it for people that like radio, television, maybe even employees of NBC or KVU or whatever it is. So your ad of you on one station will start popping up on their feeds.
Okay.
So then they'll be like, oh my gosh, these people are real popular. Why aren't they on our show?
Right.
So what happens is you now magnetize yourself
Okay.
to where they're coming to you, requesting for you to be on the show.
Right.
And then you don't have to pay.
Right.
In the beginning, it's pay to play, just FYI.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But hopefully this all helped. And
Yeah. Very, very helpful.
yeah. And
Now, if you can just tell me where I find the extra 87 hours in a day to get it all done.
you got to go. Okay. Here's a tricky part, okay? I know, you probably got something during the day that you do full time.
A real job.
Yeah, a real job, but successful at your real job.
Right.
Successful at your real job. And of course, you have children. I don't know how many children you have.
Yep.
But the reality is you have a real job, and then you have the second job, and this is now, welcome to the party, the third job.
Right.
Okay? It's one of those things where I don't know how old your kids are, but once the kids go to bed, you got to go till 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning if you have to.
Right.
That's the reality of entrepreneurship. I mean, I deal with the same thing. I've done it for so long. To me, I've conditioned my body to get it to do what I need it to do.
Right.
If it's 20 hours, 18 hours, it does not matter. As a mother, I'm assuming you've conditioned your body very well, because what mothers do, men cannot pull off.
Right.
It just
Sure.
just FYI.
Right.
But you are, I don't want to say women are a different breed, but women are totally
I'll
different.
take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Women are a different breed because they can pull off more
Right.
than a man could.
Right.
To be honest with
Sure.
you, they're dealing with other little humans that they're getting their lives together while simultaneously working on theirs. But you guys, or you gals, I'm sorry,
Right.
can pull off more than a man. So it's just long nights.
Right.
But one of the things I would highly, highly recommend, at least in the beginning, because entrepreneurship is upside down. It's hills and valleys. What I highly recommend, whether it's motivational videos, inspirational videos, watch success stories on YouTube, and you can see all the headaches that other entrepreneurs go through. And I want you to say, that's me, or that's what I went through.
Right.
And you'll see how they went over their obstacles.
Sure.
So maybe that helps.
Absolutely.
Maybe that helps.
Very helpful.
Other than that, I think it's a wrap, right?
That sounds good to me.
Very good. Well, y'all make sure to check out boonsbay.com on online. They've got so many cool colors. I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe I should get one of those, but I don't know if I look kind of weird wearing a woman's shirt.
No, but your wife would look great
Yeah,
in it.
but I'm single though, but hey.
Oh, okay.
But maybe
well,
that's
then
how
you
I
need to
can
get
get
a wife to put in one of these, or at least a girlfriend.
Maybe I'll find a girlfriend to put in one of these. I'll figure something out. But
That's
definitely, Meredith Knight here on the show. I'm very pleased to have her here. I'm really proud of what she's done. It was two years, right?
Let's see.
2 years, maybe?
2.5 years. Yeah, 3 years this coming December.
2.5 years. The realities of entrepreneurship. Now she's on the journey to take this brand to the moon. And we will see y'all later.